Good morning, guys. It's bright and early and we are coming to you from 319 Farm and Outdoors. I'm Jennifer and my husband Bruno and I are going to be bringing some information to you today regarding machinery that we use on our property. We choose to purchase Kubota products because of the quality, but we're going to have someone here today from New South Tractor. Her name is Megan and she's going to be answering some questions for us and for you guys, maybe to help you decide on what you want to know about purchasing a brand new tractor or maybe a used tractor. And hey, if you are liking what you see here, you like the content, you find it of value, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please give us a thumbs up if you like this video.
The next most popular attachment on a farm this size that we're pioneering, remember we had nothing but trees and nursery, is how we put these poles in. It's an auger. So I got some attachments laying around because we just paved the barn, so we had to move everything out. This is a Landpride, and she can tell you more about it. It's a BD. Is that BD?
PD
15. And I found out that there's a bigger one, and she didn't tell me about that. There is a PD 25, right?
Yes, there is a PD 25. You're right on the cusp of which one you should go with on there. Typically L series, we do recommend the PD 15, and then when we go up to the next size up, we do recommend the PD 25. Something that I can suggest to everybody, you know, augers, a lot of them you can buy an accessory called a parking stand, so it doesn't have to lay like this, you know, and this makes it so difficult to hook up. It's such a difficult item to get onto your tractor. What I suggest to everybody is when you're done using your auger for the day and you know that you're not going to be attaching it again for a while, go ahead and dig a hole into the ground, and then that way it's standing up straight next time you come to pick it up or to attach it.
We normally have it, you know, covered in the barn. All the attachments are in the barn. But like I said, we just paved all half a mile in the barn, and I mean we had a lot of asphalt put in. But we use this, and the contractor that I hired to put 700 feet of privacy fence in our entrance had an auger. There's my rooster. Had an auger, but it was only that 9-inch auger, and it was one that two people had to hold. And I told him, I go, buddy, you're gonna be here for a long time. He goes, I do it all the time. I go, you know what? Let me let you borrow. In one day with this thing, what he said was gonna take him 2 weeks. 2 weeks, he said. He did in one day. He dug all the holes in one day. And guess what? Now he's talking to his wife about possibly buying one. I told him I won't hire him again because he's not gonna use my equipment no more. But I have another 1,400 feet of fencing, privacy fencing that we have to do. And I'm not gonna hire him till he gets one. You know, either that or I'm gonna sell him mine and I'm gonna go buy a bigger one. Yeah, but this thing is amazing. Now I did buy it with 2 bits. I had to squeeze them out of Megan. I was like, Megan, you got to throw me in a 12-inch. And I'm glad that she did, because these telephone poles, and we're still working on our gates, are pretty wide. They're like 8 to 9 inches thick, and even the 12-inch is not wide enough. I should go 18 inches just to give it a lot of earth around it and pack it in really good. But this thing has been a lifesaver. So you see all the posts on this barn, right? There we go. We started with this and we finished with another one. So this thing, I love. I can't live with if you're homesteading and you're trying to fence and pasture and do all that, you need an auger. You need an auger or a really strong back or 12 kids.
Something that people don't think about though with an auger or a post hole digger is that you can use it for a lot of other stuff. You know, don't just limit yourself to building fences, putting in posts and stuff like that. While its main goal is to do that, something that a lot of people use it for is putting in like landscaping, like shrubs, putting in trees, anything like that. You can use this for, because you're doing the same thing, you're digging a hole. Even if you're limited, you've only got a 9-inch or a 12-inch bit, you know, you can always dig another hole beside of it. You know, and this might be a more economical solution to something like a backhoe, you know, if that's what your plan was with the backhoe. You know, kind of think outside of the box. You know, these things, they're not just one use. We try to get as many uses as possible out of all our implements.
She thought this would be good enough, right? And it can cut up to 1 inch, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
1 inch. And we've pushed the limit on that one, right, Ben? What happened was there was a lot of irrigation, a lot of rebars to hold sprinkler heads around here, being a nursery. So when everything was bulldozed, some of the rebars that were about 1 inch thick, you know, being metal, like, you know, steel versus a tree, you know, kind of beat it up a little bit. But it still works great. He's gone underneath, he sharpened the blades, and yeah, so it's pretty easy, you know, once we get backed up on it.
So one of the first things that we like to ask customers is, what are we cutting? You know, has the land already been cut, and has it been cut, you know, for a while, to where all you have growing is this kind of stuff that's behind us here, you know, this type of brush, you know, you don't have any real saplings or anything. So 1 inch is fine for something like this. Probably what we should have got, Bruno, was the RCR 1860. So it's the next step up. So it's going to be something that can do 2 inches in diameter. But something else that we don't have on this one that I like a lot of people to have is something that's called a slip clutch on there. So if any time that does happen, you know, a piece of rebar gets stuck up underneath the bush hog and your blade stop turning, instead of breaking the pin that's in the gearbox, it's actually just got a slip clutch in there, which means it misses and it stops the PTO from turning.
And why do you guys use Landpride so much?
So Kubota actually owns Landpride, so it is their preferred implement choice on there. But we don't just use Landpride because of that. Landpride is a part of a very long tradition of implements.
And because, and thanks to Megan, later on next month, just a little side note on this, I believe it's PBR, right?
Yeah.
And Kubota. Kubota is the main sponsor for the PBR. For those of you who don't know what PBR means, is Professional Bull Riding Association. Yeah. They're now the official sponsor of the PBR. She put in our story just how we got started, and we got picked, and they're going to be shooting a promo commercial, whatever it is, sometime next month, you know, Lord willing, if everything goes well. We already had a phone call, and we're going to do a FaceTime or Zoom, and then we're going to schedule something for March 16th so they can come here and shoot, you know, a little promo of all the stuff that we have, because we really enjoyed it, you know. And we're not experts by any means, but it's very, very easy for us to transition from city life to here, thanks to all these equipment that's here. And it's not, you know, not very hard, really. It really isn't. That's just a little side note on that. All right, so this is the box blade, right?
Yeah.
Is this what it's called?
BB 1260.
Yep, BB, right?
Box blade.
Big Bruno, that's what it stands
Big
for.
Bruno.
1260. A box blade, and it has these teeth. And what are the teeth for? To rip, right?
Yeah, they're either called rippers or scarifiers. Those are the names.
So one of the things that I got a little creative with is I didn't have a plow. When we first got here, in the back, we wanted to plant a garden. So I wanted to till the earth, and I didn't get a tiller. So what I did was I grabbed my 3-point attachment, and I tilted it really high and dropped the teeth, and it ripped the ground for me. And it was just like, I was like, wow, it worked. It really did work. It did a really good job. We were able to put in amendments on the soil, rabbit poop, you know, and then just turn it, and then I just kept working the blade down, and then it smoothed it out. So it was pretty cool. Actually, my son did it, not me, but he got the point. So yeah, this thing was great. When we had the dirt road, it was great. We can rip up, because you know what happens is the rock starts going down, and then you got all the dust coming up on top. Plus it gets crushed and everything else. So we were able to rip up, get all the heavy stuff back up on top, so you could get better grip and less washout. And it worked great for us. And like I said, we use this to level out. It's not meant for that. I found out that they make a land leveler. Okay, they do. But we were able to, you know, because it can get expensive to just get every attachment. Again, you can get up to $100,000 with attachments, right? And on top of the tractor. So we were able to use this for multiple different things. So go ahead, Meg. Like, is there anything about this that I could have done better now that you're out here, or bigger, or?
So, you don't have to stick with the width of your tractor on box blades, especially in a series like this one. This one is a lighter grade on there. They do come in like a medium duty or a heavy duty. You know, we can get a lot heavier. Doesn't look like you have any kind of dents or dings, and your teeth are still on the front here, so I don't think that you made a bad decision on that. But on a lighter one, you can always get a little bit wider. They do offer a 66-inch and a 72-inch in the same series. And on a tractor like the 3901, you would have been okay with taking those. But what you pointed out, you know, kind of tilling, ripping up your garden, using it as like a cultivator.
Yeah,
that's like what I was talking about with the post hole digger. We like to see people who can get as much use as possible out of their implements without having to buy, you know, a cultivator and a rear blade and a land leveler. You know, there's so many different things that you can do with this one. That's kind of why box blades are probably our #1 attachment that we sell, just because they are such a multi-tool. You can get a lot done with them. But what I always do suggest people is actually getting on YouTube, because where I work, you know, we don't always have the room or the equipment in stock to actually let people test these things out when they come over there. So I do suggest getting on YouTube, you know, typing in, you know, the BB 1260 and watching people work with it. You know, there's tons of people out there who have these videos. They'll show you what they do with theirs. And if you're like, okay, well, that's exactly what I want to do with mine, or that's how I want the finish to look when I'm done with it, then you know that that's the one you need to go with. The other implement he talked about is a land leveler. You can also call it a land plane. We call it a grader scraper on there. So that is more for, like, we call it beautification on there, making something super smooth, super pretty. You know, it actually, instead of having this back part here on the blade, it still has your scarifiers out front, but then you have 2 blades that are open on the back that allow you to have dirt come out more evenly than on a box blade. A box blade is something that you can also use as an earth mover on there. So if you are putting out gravel for the first time, you know, you got your bucket full, but you want to carry as much as possible, take some in your box blade. Just keep it low to the ground.
And drag it.
Yeah, just drag it with you.
Drag it with it.
Pictures speak 1,000 words.
Oh.
You know, every day I have somebody coming in that tells me, you know, I just bought this new property. You know, we talk about, well, what grade is it? You know, especially if you're thinking of getting like a 0 turn. We talk about, you know, what grade is it on? What kind of inclines and declines? What kind of hills and stuff do you have? You know, for somebody in their mind, they might look at this and they say, oh, I don't really have a big hill. But when I see a picture of it, that's a very big hill on there. And that's something that you have to kind of consider. And in their mind, you know, no, it's not. But in mine, knowing the equipment, yes, it is. So if you can't, you know, get your dealership to send somebody out, you know, not everybody has multiple salespeople. You know, some dealers are smaller. They only have 1 sales rep in the whole dealership, you know. So that's kind of hard to get somebody out on your property, you know, after they just met you. I mean, it took Bruno, what, 3-4 years to get me out here?
Yeah, 3 years, yeah.
So, do a little bit of homework for us, you know. Take a lot of pictures of your new house, your new property and everything. Let us see, you know, what you've got going on, and that helps a lot. It really does.
Maybe even a topography snapshot with contours. That might even help, right? So then we got this right here. And the reason I got this rake, okay? And the rake, normally the most popular thing that the rake gets used for is for what?
So for people who are doing new landscaping on a house, if you're going through, you got a lot of rocks in your dirt and everything, landscape rake is perfect for that. And they're getting those rocks out.
And this is the LR1672. I think it's 72 inches wide, right?
Yes,
that's
it's
why.
a 6 foot.
And you can turn it and pivot it and what have you. But the reason I thought about getting this, and I knew, when we clear this, if you know anything about logging, okay, and I didn't know this, okay, but after this was all trees, and I saw that big old D something dozer come in here and start breaking and pushing everything. They get all the stumps and root balls out, but all the branches, all the loose stuff, it was just littered all up back here. So what I did was, I got this because I knew I was gonna have 18 acres of just branches everywhere.
Right.
So I used this to just spin, and I literally just spun. And not only that, but when it did that, you know, it created little bundles that we were able to burn. But it also, you're right, it kind of did a little nice landscaping. It just kind of leveled, it kind of combed, you know, it's kind of like combing your hair.
Right. This one is a landscape rake on there. They also do make other things that are, they have smaller tines. These are pretty thick. This looks to be about 1.5 inches on there. You can also get one that's specifically made for things like pine needles. So you actually sell a lot of that kind of stuff to places like nurseries and everything that are bundling that up. Because with things like pine needles, you know, they're going to pass right through this on there. Yeah. But that's something that a lot of people use to put down on their yard, you know, as they're like either growing grass and stuff. So that's something else, you know, just because this is the landscape rake, maybe it's not the rake that you need. You know, there are other ones that are available. You just have to kind of vocalize and tell who you're working with at a dealership that, hey, well, this is what I'm thinking about doing here. I would have never thought, you know, that's what you would have ended up using yours for, is for picking up, you know, the extra brush from that. You know, you told me you were building a house. Ding, 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 new construction, we're putting in landscaping. You know, this in our area is very rocky, lots of hard clay. Yeah. So get something like this and get all that out. So when you do finally end up mowing it with a 0-turn or whatever kind of mower you have, you're not damaging your blades. You're not throwing rocks up onto your new house.
Now, after we bought all that, we realized, holy crap, we have a dust bowl. Now we cleared all the coverage, you know, the growth, the trees all over, and now we have clay, which was horrible. I mean, everything was orange, by the way. We looked like Oompa Loompas walking around here, okay? We went back and we're like, we need a cedar. So why did we get this one and not a Landpride?
Could be because of availability.
Okay.
That could be a thing. So the reason why I suggested this one to Bruno, this one is actually a poly spreader on here. It is not metal. So you're not going to have a lot of the rust and oxidation that you would see on a metal fertilizer spreader on there, because a lot of those chemicals in fertilizer spreaders actually will eat through metal. They're very, very strong, especially when you get up into some commercial grade stuff on there. So we do suggest poly for that kind of stuff with stainless steel parts, because not all of them have that, and you can tell everything from here down is stainless steel. None of it has any rust on it. And Bruno, you've had this for what, 2 years now?
No, 3 years. We got it a month after we, so yeah, so it'll be 3 years in June.
Right.
We got it in June.
So the only rust that you see is on these pieces right here that's not out of stainless steel.
And it's been great. I've done everything from, you name it, seeds to, we haven't done manure, but we've done seeds. We spread some soil. One time I just threw it in there and just wanted to see. I was just goofing around because I put dirt in there, you know, just to see what it would do. But we've enjoyed this. I've used it up front. I've used it everywhere to seed, and we're going to continue to use it. Plus, we're building these new houses, so there's a lot of clay, and we're going to be covering it and doing all that. So that pretty much wraps. This is the 2-foot bucket that I went back and got just this last year, about 4 months ago. I got this because this is what you need to dig footers with. 2 feet wide, about, you know, a foot deep or 18 inches deep, and this is great for houses. So when we're building houses, I figured, hey, by the way, you can rent out a mini excavator, right? Mm-hmm. Or and it's roughly about $200 an hour. All right, $200 an hour. So I would have rented one out. Contractor comes, $200 an hour. They dig the holes. Great. I have nothing to show for, and I have a lot of land. Now, if I lived in a city in a 1/4 acre, it'd be different, right? You hire them out because you're never going to use it again. But I knew if I hired one to do, you know, all the footers, it's going to be thousands. This cost me, you know, what, 800, 900 bucks, and it's mine, and I can dig footers. And guess what? If somebody else needs, I charge them that, and I go dig footers now. I'm pretty good at digging footers. So yeah, so that wraps it up for the tractor.
All right, guys, well, that's it for the first part in our 3-part series. We hope that you enjoyed some of the information you heard today. Make sure you stick around for the next part in our 3-part series, which we'll be talking about the RTV next. We'll see you guys later. Bye.